And now, from Louisville, Kentucky, the horse capital of the world and sports junkies' finest, giving you wagering advice and sports analysis. It's On the Switch with your host, Gino G.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to On the Switch show. I'm your host, Gino G, with my boy in the back end, Travis T. Say what's up, man.
What's going on, guys?
Well, we are so excited about this weekend. Preakness weekend from Pimlico. Friday racing we'll be going over first, starting with Churchill Downs, but a little bit of side information when it comes to Pimlico. Friday racing is keyed by the Black-Eyed Susan for 3-year-old fillies. Basically the same race as the Oaks for Kentucky Derby weekend. So we'll be getting into that in another episode, so please look out for that. But first, we'll go over Churchill Downs racing and a few notes that I want everybody to take down here. It's rained a little bit yesterday and the track was sloppy. I think it could have been muddy, but I think it was sloppy. It's supposed to rain tomorrow a little bit. It's supposed to dry up Saturday and Sunday. I think late Sunday is supposed to get some rain. So I plan on everything being on the turf and have handicapped that way. But I also want people to know that I have some alternate tickets, some other advice, perhaps if the races are off the turf. So please keep that in mind when handicapping. And we'll go ahead and just start this right off here with race 1. It's an open 10,000 clamor going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. I landed on the 5, Ring Me Up. He'll be our top selection in this spot. Coming out of a much tougher condition, 35 clamor on the turf. Gets back to the surface that this one prefers. This one is on the bottom levels that they'll run at Churchill. And if you go back to some of the history of this horse at Churchill, let's go ahead and key a race, which was the debut, going 1 mile over the slop, over this surface, and ran second by just 1 1/4 lengths that day and got an 84 speed figure. Just my opinion, an 84 speed figure in this race is just going to be extremely tough to beat. I will also note that this horse is 1 for 1 at the distance, 3 for 5 at Churchill, and 3 for 4, all hitting the board on an off track. So number 5, Ring Me Up, going to get our top selection here. I also took a look at the 4, Commercial Appeal. At 6-1 on the line, this one just got claimed last out for 5,000 in a race where this mare ran second here over the track. Steps up to this level here, but could be overmatched class-wise. But here's what makes this one interesting. 4 out of 5 hitting the board with 3 wins on the off-going. Trainer is 50% first off the claim. The trainer and jockey combo is 25% and gets the call of Lannery. So I do think this one at 6-1 could get a look here. I don't think you'll get 6-1, but definitely a horse that you need to use and pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s. Lastly, I took a look at the 2, Rainwalker. Definitely the one to beat in the morning line favorite here. Maggie Moss, Tom Amis, Florent Giroux. They just don't lose very often together, especially at Churchill Downs. Gets back onto a surface in which this one has done her best running. Finds the distance in which she has won 3 out of 4 races and hasn't finished outside the money in 4 consecutive starts. Amos is 30% at Churchill Downs. Trainer Jock combo is 28% over 73 runners. So for us in the first race at Churchill, it's going to be 5, Ring Me Up as our top selection, followed by the 4, then the 2. So it's 5, 4, 2 in the first at Churchill. Race 2 is an open 32,000 clamor going 1 mile on the turf. Again, we handicapped for the turf, so we'll go over that first. But we could also, in some races, have alternate selections if perhaps it goes off the turf. But go ahead and thinking that this one's going to be on the turf, I went to the number 2. She's a True Beauty. The obvious class of the field has ran a 90-plus speed figure, which I believe, in my opinion, would absolutely just destroy this field. In 3 of the last 4 starts, I don't believe this one can be judged from her last effort against Much Better going longer. Gets into the right spot with a class drop for Dallas Stewart. This one will also stay our top selection if perhaps is moved to the dirt because of the rain. This one is 2 for 2 in the off-going, one of those being an optional claimer, 62.5, which is way above this field, and that was at Churchill Downs in the slop. So please note that. I think this one, whether turf or dirt, is going to be our top selection. That's the 2. She's a True Beauty. Our second selection here is the number 5, Factory of Faith. Factory of Faith is a horse who hasn't tried grass since April 2017 in a stakes race at Fairgrounds. This one comes in running a 92 against Similar, also at the fairgrounds. Gets back to her favorite distance. Also note that this one has had a ton of success against far better in the off-going, if perhaps this one is taking off the grass. So in the second race here at Churchill, I went with the 2, She's a True Beauty as our top selection, followed by the 5, Factory of Faith. That's 2, 5 in the second. Race 3 is one of the tougher races on the card to understand and or handicap. It's beaten 8,000 clambers going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I did also note in our email route, if perhaps you're a part of that these have been the races that have really tripped everybody up, I believe. I don't think anybody has done really well in these beaten 8,000 claimer races, but I did fall on the 5, Budget Cut. Budget Cut comes in having run against incredibly more tougher competition than what she'll face today. This one is 5 of 7 hitting the board at Churchill. Gets great time rider, and by time rider, I put that in quotes because John Court is so good at judging how fast they're going. And I think that's extremely important in this race to get the correct trip. John Court has also had success with this filly last fall. I'll be a little concerned if perhaps this race is on the off-going, as there isn't much success lifetime for this one over the off-track. A 72 speed figure 4-back over this track should be something of note. I will keep this as our top selection with a question mark, though, if it does happen to be on the off-going, because I believe this one's speed figures are just untouchable. Secondly, I landed on the 7, She Loves Leather. My wife also loves leather, so how can we not select this one? Number 7, She Loves Leather, needs a look coming from Open 10,000 Company at Keeneland. Ran pretty even throughout, beating a wide margin, but gets massive class relief against this group. Although we could suspect some speed from layoff horses in this field, this one has shown 24.49 half-mile speed 2-back that could prove to be vital in this race without a very unknown pace scenario. I think some of the horses off the layoff could show speed, but if perhaps no one goes to the lead, you could find the 7, She Loves Leather, on the pace here. I would also note this one has won twice lifetime. First coming from 7-back, then most recently going wire to wire. A versatile horse in a field like this that is just bad. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but just not very good. I think could be really, really important, as depending on how things set up, this one can go to the lead or lay way back and do some very good late running. So that is the 7, She Loves Leather, gets our second choice here. Lastly, we landed on the 4, Princess Lulu. Princess Lulu is a horse that I'll take as well at a shot. Although 7-2 on the line, this one comes from condition 16 here over the track and didn't run that day whatsoever. I think we can completely toss that race out. Does get some class relief, as that's a recurring theme in here. Pretty much everybody's getting some class relief. And I do think this one needs to improve from any sort of recent performance whatsoever to grab the money. Baker does get Florent Giroux to stay in the irons, which I believe is a huge factor in here. Knowing last out, not running very well, Florent Giroux could absolutely probably ride any horse in this entire field, decides to ride this one back. And I think that right there by itself could be the reason why this one takes the money. So that's the 4, Princess Lulu. So here, beaten 8K claimers, race 3 here at Churchill Downs. I landed on the 5, Budget Cut, followed by the 7, then the 4. So that is 5, 7, 4 in the third. Race 4 is a starter allowance 20K going 7 furlongs on the dirt. I landed as our top selection on the 7, Sights and Sounds. Sights and Sounds outran his odds at 30-1 last out in the good going at Oaklawn Park. Starter allowance 8,000. Finds himself in a similar position today. Gets another 1/8 of a mile to run into, which is where this one does its best work, that being the late running. With speed from the 2, 4, 5, and 6, I really think this one just sets up super well for this horse. Should sit pretty far back, I would imagine, and like I said, will do his best running late. So that one will get our top selection. I do also want to note this one is 1 for 2 over the off-going. That third being last out at Oaklawn Park. Haven't raced at Churchill Downs, but Indiana and Mountaineer shippers have been doing oddly well over the track and in these particular spots. So I think that's something to note as well. Secondly, I landed on Red Again, the 5. Number 5, Red Again. Confusing because it should probably absolutely crush this field. Speed figure wise, just makes a lot of sense in here. I will say this one really needed one in a start at Keeneland off the layoff. Now comes in second off the layoff. Should also sit off of it a little bit, which I think is super important. Doesn't have the incredible top end speed of some of them, but will be right off of it. And I think we'll get first run. So that is the 5, Red again, who I think has a big shot in here just from a pace scenario and setup. This one should be tough. Lastly, I looked at the 3, Swamp Ruler. Swamp Ruler will get the pace set up as well. Just like the 7 will do its best running super late down the lane. I will say this, might be a little bit classless with this one, but I do believe this one, as far as from a pace scenario and a race setup, I think this one definitely has a big shot. We'll also key the fact that this one hasn't had worse than a 78 speed figure in the last 3 starts. I think this one just overall fits speed figure wise, race setup wise. That is the 3, Swamp Ruler. So for us here at Churchill Downs in the 4th, is going to be the 7 as our top selection, followed by the 5 and then the 3. That's 7, 5, 3 in the 4th. Race 5 is a maiden special weight, 47,000, going 5 furlongs on the dirt, and this will be single time. This will be our single here. We went with the 2, Blame the Frog. Blame the Frog will get our top selection and will be our single on pick 4 and pick 5 tickets. This one comes out of a what we call a quote-unquote Ward special at Keeneland, a 4.5 furlong maiden special weight sprint, finishing second by just a neck and given an 89 speed figure that day. A repeat of that performance is just going to be insanely tough in this spot. Oh, by the way, I shouldn't give away all my secrets, but I'll tell you this. As of January 1st, 2018, January 1st, 2018, Blame as a sire is 29% with all runners that run on the off-going. Now, a lot of people don't know this information, and it's extremely hard to find. But basically 30% of Blame's runners have finished first when they have ran on the off-going. So I think that's a super key here, and another reason why this one, if perhaps going to be on the off-going, which I can almost guarantee it will be, this one's going to be super, super tough in this spot. So that is the 2, Blame the Frog will be our single in race 5, a maiden special weight, 47,000, going 5 furlongs on the dirt. If perhaps this one is scratched, talking about the 2, Blame the Frog, I think you have to take a look at the 9. Comes out of the second fastest 4.5 maiden special weight sprint at Keeneland, although beaten by 11, did run 3rd. Could be an interesting horse at a price. Also, the 8 ran 3 lengths behind Blame the Frog, who is going to be our single. And Hubley is super tough, second start out, looking at 37%. So if perhaps the 2 gets scratched, or if you want to go deeper on tickets, I would single the 2 as my top selection and my only selection in here. But I would also give a look to the 8 and the 9 as well. Race 6 is an allowance optional claimer. 62,500, going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. I did land on the 2, Sheraton Street. Sheraton Street will get our nod in here in the checkmark as the top selection. Since when do you, or anybody for that matter, beat Ward in sprints? It seems hardly ever. Ward does sway Brian Hernandez Jr. to ride this one instead of the Wilkes runner that's also in here. This one will be the speed of the speed, will break on top, and if even remotely close to sharp, should crush this field. I will note the 116 speed figure 2 back at Keeneland is real. 103 and change going 5.5 on that turf course at Keeneland is flat out flying. Okay, clean break is key for this one. Has had some trouble and starts breaking a little bit slow, but I think Brian Hernandez will do a fine job getting this one out and should handle the off-going if perhaps moved to the dirt, and should be super tough in here. I also looked at the number 3, Done Deal. Done Deal is an interesting one coming off a 1.5 year layoff for Ian Wilkes. This one is the one that we were talking about, that if perhaps Brian Hernandez is going to jump on one, he should be jumping on the Wilkes horse, yet rides the Ward horse. But we still like this one here. This one was on a steady improve, having broken a maiden on turf at Oaklawn Park, then handily beat Allowance 45,000 company in the mud at Churchill, going 6 furlongs. This one has an insanely large work tab that I think shows consistency and should be ready. This is a pretty tough 62.5 spot, though you might want to look for this one maybe next out, but the fact that Wilkes puts this one in for 62.5, if does anything close to the 2016 form, definitely will be one that we need to use. Also want to let everybody know, please understand if perhaps that this is taking off the grass and they run on the main track. The main track only horses automatically become horses that will be really tough to beat. The number 8, Manicow, has speed figures that will match up with the top contenders in here. Will sit right off the lead and get first run. Number 9, Control Stake, is a horse that we liked a little bit last out running this level. Is 2 of 3 on the off going. Seems to have second-itis a little bit at Churchill Downs, but perhaps fits if some of the top contenders get scratched. So in the 6th race, the allowance optional claimer 62.5, going 5.5 on the turf. We landed on the 2, Shirlton Street, and the 3, Done Deal. That's 2-3 for us. We'll also use the main track runners if perhaps they draw in. Race 7 is a 75,000 maiden claimer going 1 mile on the dirt, and it's going to be our late single. 2 singles on the card here. This one coming a little bit later in race 7. We landed on the 4, Indigo Yankee. Indigo Yankee will be a shot for us in this spot. Although at 7-2 on the morning line, I'm positive this one will be left ice cold on the tote board because you have a connection play in the number 2. McPeak and Brian Hernandez on the 1, who should improve. Stahl, who always places his horses well in with the number 5. It's possible that all those horses will be shorter prices than this one. Having come out of much better races, hence why speed figures are so high for this one gets a small class drop, although a tough field here. A steady improving speed figure in each start will need to make another jump, which I totally believe should happen second off the layoff to steal the money. Let's throw out a few stats for this one. 3 of 4 Chris Leandros wins this meet have been on Wilkes runners. Wilkes just happens to be the trainer of this one. Wilkes is 27% moving from maiden special weight to maiden claimers. He's 20% off sub 60-day layoffs, and he's 17% over this surface. I think all those statistics are plenty to make all the stars align and get this one the money. I will also say we could be dead in the water after the gate opens. Reason being is this one tends to stall for a second before running. In almost every start, it seems, this horse, as soon as the gates open, he maybe just like freaks out for a second and kind of waits there. He's had to rush up in a couple of situations, but I think with getting a rider that this one knows in Landros, I really think this one should be just fine getting out of the gate. And like I said, we'll get our single. Let's also note, again, if perhaps you are looking for more runners, I would use the number 2 because of success at Churchill Downs from last fall and winter of 2016. I would also look at the McPeak runner, the number 1, that being who sneaks up often in these spots, and maybe take a wild look at the 5 for Stahl. All the runners that we have mentioned prior to going over our single in the 4 Indigo Yankee. In the 7th, again, 75,000 maiden claimers going 1 mile on the dirt. Race number 7, we are singling the 4 Indigo Yankee. Race 8 is an allowance 55,000 going 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf. And we're looking at War Daddy. Number 7, War Daddy will get our top selection at 3-1. This one has tactical speed in a race with none, zippo speed, no speed. You might see speed from the 4 if perhaps Brian Hernandez is smart. Otherwise, this one could be out there jogging by himself. This one has hit the board and only start going this distance, 2 out of 3 at Churchill Downs on the grass, and if perhaps moved off the turf, this horse is 1 for 1, that being a win on an off-going dirt course. A 103 speed figure this year, that being on March 24th, isn't matched by any runner in this field this year. 3rd off the layoff, this would be ultra tough in this spot. Let's also note, this one hasn't finished out of the money in 7 straight starts. That's super important just from the standpoint that we know when all is done and they cross the finish line, this one's going to have a chance to hit the wire first. Secondly, we'll look at the 6 Plug Catcher. The 6 Plug Catcher is another runner that just loves Churchill Downs. Beaten just a half length last out on this course, received a 91 speed figure and ran to an awfully slow pace as the 5-2 favorite last out. Well spotted again in this spot, and the extra distance should be no problem whatsoever for this one. I will also note for this horse, from all the past performance I can see, this one has only been ridden by Gabriel Saez. What's my point? Well, loves the track, known and confident jock, work tabs over the track with Saez on board. That is to note. Saez did work this horse out. Seems like all systems are a go for the 6 plug catcher. Lastly, I looked at the 4. Gostis Be Here. Gostis Be Here. Gostis Be Here is a horse who will be tough in this spot. Begging to go longer, Lopresti finally finds a spot for this one to go further on the surface this one prefers. With some speed and no speed in the race, you could see, as we mentioned before, Brian Hernandez be super aggressive with this one and walk the dog out there knowing he has, or quote unquote, most likely the best horse in the entire race while going something around high 24s up to, half miles of 49, possibly 50. It's just, this horse is just way too good if perhaps they're going to let this one go out there by himself with those kind of fractions. So I think that one has a chance as well. In the 8th race, that being allowance 55,000 going 1 mile 3/8 on the turf, I landed on the 7 War Daddy. We'll also take a look at the 6 plug catcher and the 4 Gostis Be Here. That is 7, 6, 4 in the 8th. Lastly is race 9 here at Churchill Downs on a Friday, the Friday of being Black-Eyed Susan Day at Pimlico. Race 9 is a 30,000 maiden clamor going 1 mile 1/16 on the dirt. I landed on the 5 Honor Mission. Honor Mission is my top selection, but with a huge question mark next to it. This race is a really, 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 really hard race to handicap. The biggest issue is coming from the fact that you have a bunch of non-performing runners and you have to thumb through whether there's a reason why they didn't fire, how good their previous races were, and perhaps maybe were there troubling issues as far as on the backstretch. Did they have to check? Did they not have running room? Like, what are the reasons why these horses were beat such wide lengths? So with that being said, I did land on the 5 Honor Mission. Honor Mission, the reason why I'm taking this horse, this is the horse who ran the best race out of anybody in this field last out. Reason why I think that is important, if perhaps all were to improve, this one would still have the highest speed figure. Although the number 1 did get an 87 for his last effort, it was on the grass. I want to note this because all grass races seem to get higher speed figures for whatever reason that may be. I don't get it. I don't understand. But you can run the same race on turf and on dirt and you'll get 2 widely spread speed figures for the winners. So I think that 87 is a little bit skewed. And like I said, always ridiculously bloated speed figures for runners on the turf. Honor Mission ran a more than respectable third by 3 3/4 last out at the 30K level at Keeneland. I think this one has found its knack being back on the dirt after 4 starts on the grass at Fairgrounds, which didn't go too hot. A small improve from this one of previous dirt effort, that being last year, will make this one super tough in here. That is the 5 Honor Mission. Also took a look at the number 9, All the Wrong Reasons. I think All the Wrong Reasons definitely needs a look in here, possibly for quote unquote all the wrong reasons. Just kidding. This one hasn't run on a fast track yet in 4 starts, and that can prove super important as we believe it will be an off track today. If the downpour does commence like predicted, the 72 speed figure with the small 72 speeder being last out with the small class drop gets the top jock in Brian Hernandez. I just don't think you can disregard this one. That is the 9, All the Wrong Reasons. Lastly, the number 7, Big Bad Zen for William Bradley is another runner that has all the makings of a big step up today. This one has ran on dirt, turf, and synthetic in his 12 race career already. Finally getting to the service this one liked. We saw a big improve moving to conventional dirt for the first time. Comes out of the same race as our top selection. This one gets an aggressive Gabriel Saez in the irons. I would look for a sharper break, which this one tends to have an issue with. I think Saez gives a few more taps on the shoulder with this one, gets out cleanly, will definitely be closer to the pace, and a much improved effort second off the layoff will make this one tough. I will also note with this horse, this one has ran 2 seconds in 2 starts on the synthetic. And why am I telling you this? Well, history says that if perhaps you run well on synthetic, you will always, for the most part, run well in the off-going. So 2 seconds in 2 starts on synthetic seems to be possibly an angle that we can play if perhaps, like I said, it's going to be running in the soup tomorrow. So I think this one definitely needs a look, and that is the 7 Big Bad Zen. So for the last race, that being the 9th, 30,000 maiden claimers going 1 mile, 1/16th on the dirt. I landed on the 5 on our mission as our top selection. I will also choose to include the number 9, All the Wrong Reasons, and the 7, Big Bad Zen. That is 5, 9, 7 in the last at Churchill Downs. Now, going over a few bets here that I really like. I hope everybody, if you haven't already and you're listening, please email me. Get on this email route. You can email me at gfgrieshaber, that's GRIESHAB as in boy, ER, at Gmail. I give out a detailed description of everything, just like I do here on the podcast, but also via email. I will also give you bets at the very end, as I will right now on the email as well. So let's go ahead and dive into those. First bet starts in race 1. It's a 50-cent pick 4. 50-cent pick 4, I went all with 2-5, with 4-5-7, with 5-7. That is all. 2-5-7, 4-5-7, 5-7. In race 1, 50-cent pick 4, $36 play. In race 2 starts a 50-cent pick 5. We'll also have a ticket for that. This one much cheaper, only being $18. We'll start with the 2-5, with the 4-5-7, with the 3-5-7, with the 2, with the 2-3. That's 2-5, 4-5-7, 3-5-7, 2, 2-3. $18 play. If perhaps you want an alternate ticket, want to maybe change things up in the turf races, you can also look at this $54 ticket. It's 2-5 with 4-5-7, with 3-5-7, with 2-8-9, with 2-3. That's a $54 play. 2-5, 4-5-7, 3-5-7, 2-8-9, 2-3. Race 3 starts another 50-cent pick 4. I have a $40.50 play. Again, it starts in race 3. We have a 4-5-7 with 3-5-7 with 2 with all. 4-5-7, 3-5-7, 2, all. $40.50. Race 4 starts the 20-cent jackpot pick 6, which is now up over $430,000. We'll play a ticket here. It's $48.60. We'll start with the race 4, 3-5-7, with 2, with all, with the 4, another single, with the 4-6-7, with the 5-7-9. Again, 6 races here. We'll start with 3-5-7 in leg 1, that being race 4. We'll single the 2. We'll take the field, that being the 6th race. We'll single the 4 in the 7th, 4-6-7 in the 8th, and 5-7-9 in the 9th. Race 5 is a 50-cent pick 5 ticket. We'll also have a $40.50 ticket for that one. We'll start with the single of the 2. We'll take all in the second leg, with 4, with 4-6-7, with 5-7-9. That is 2, all, 4, 4-6-7, 5-7-9. Race 5, 50-cent, pick 5, $40.50. There's also an alternate ticket as well if perhaps you want to change things up a little bit, again, with turf races and whatnot. I did have a $54 play. It's 2-8-9 with all, with 4, with 6-7, with 5-9. That's 2-8-9, all, 4, 6-7, 5-9, $54 play. There's also another alternate ticket. I call it alternate ticket number 2, which you can use as well. $96 play, much more expensive, but more in-depth. That's 2-8-9 with 2-3-8-9 with 1-2-4-6 with 6-7 with 5-9. $96. Again, that's 2-8-9, 2-3-8-9, 1-2-4-6 with 6-7 with 5-9. $96. Lastly, we have 2 tickets in the late pick 4 starting in race 6, 50-cent wager. We have one for $40.50 and one for $72. I will tell you, I love the first ticket, this one being $40.50. We have all in the first leg with 4, with 4-6-7, with 5-7-9. That's all 4, 4-6-7, 5-7-9, $40.50 play. I believe this is our best ticket that we have available. There's also, like I said, an alternate ticket that I did put together. The alternate ticket is 2-3-8-9 with 1-2-4-5 with 4-6-7 with 579, that being a $72 play. Again, I wish everybody the best of luck Friday, Churchill Downs Racing, this being Black Eyed Susan Day at Pimlico. We'll go over that in another broadcast. But for this, wrapping up Churchill Downs, I wish everybody the best of luck. Definitely going to be a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of bets, a whole lot of horse racing, and hopefully a whole lot of winners. I wish everybody the best of luck, and we'll talk to you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, I want to give you all of our platforms when it comes to social media that you need to drop a follow to, subscribe to, everything else. I will start with Facebook, On the Switch. Please, 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 I beg you, give us a like on Facebook. We also have an Instagram account. Instagram is On the Switch Show. Please drop us a follow there. We also have a Twitter at On the Switch 1. That is Twitter at On the Switch 1. Drop us a follow there. You can get at us via email as well. Via email is ontheswitchshow@gmail.com. Please don't hesitate to contact us with whatever questions you might have. Also, big news, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play. We're on all these platforms. Please, please, please look us up on all these platforms. Subscribe to us. We also have a YouTube On the Switch. Please drop us a subscription there as well. If y'all have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to contact us at ontheswitchshow@gmail.com, and we love to hear from you.
On the Switch.